If you're anything like the people I work with, you have probably treated SIBO a lot. I mean, I've worked with numerous people who have treated SIBO with Rifaximin, Xifaxan, or herbal antimicrobials 10 or more times, and the gosh darn thing keeps coming back. Well, why? Why does it keep relapsing? Why does it keep reoccurring? And what do you need to do to prevent that from happening again? What do you need to do to finally get rid of SIBO once and for all? Well, in this video, I'm going to share just that. And we're going to do 2 truths and a lie style today. I'm going to tell you 2 ways that you could go about preventing SIBO relapse or reoccurrence, and one that I think is a big fat whopper. So stay tuned if you want to know all 3. All right, let's start with the whopper, because I know that one's probably top of mind right now. So if there are 2 ways that I think you can prevent SIBO recurrence or SIBO relapse, what is the whopper? What is the lie that's told to us? And I'm going to preface it by saying that the people who tell you this have every good intention, and they really, really think that this is the answer. I just have come to a different opinion. And that is that you need to be on a restrictive SIBO diet for either months or years or indefinitely for the rest of your life. So whether it's low FODMAP or low FODMAP SCD, like Alison Seebecker kind of diet thing, or low fermentation, I do not think that these are either appropriate or safe or necessary for long-term use. As you can tell by my t-shirt, I very much believe that every single one of you can get to a point where you're eating FODMAPs with abandon and feeling great. And the other thing that is oftentimes proposed is that you need long-term prokinetic therapy. And it's not that prokinetics are bad. I love prokinetics. I just did a big video about my nerdy science project with prokinetics if you look 2 videos back on my channel. But the idea that that is like the thing that will save you, the thing that you need to do, and everything else will fall into a row if you just do this god-awful restrictive diet and take a prokinetic for the rest of your days, I don't think that idea is serving anybody. So I wanted to start the video right out the gate and say that I very much disagree with this 2-pronged approach of preventing SIBO relapse. And now I get to share with you the 2 things that I have found to be tremendously effective and helpful in my clinical practice and with my FODMAP Freedom students. Now, the first one, you're probably all going to be at least somewhat familiar with, particularly if you have been around the block with functional medicine or integrative medicine, or if you've seen like a naturopathic practitioner up until this point. And that is the idea of root causes. So, and if you're rolling your eyes already, just stick with me for a second here. So the idea is by the time you get SIBO, which is kind of represented as like the leaves and the branches up above the ground, there were already really, really strong roots in place long before those leaves had time to grow. I will say this too, for those of you who are not aware, SIBO is not a root cause of anything. People talk about SIBO like it's a root cause and they stop there, and that is not the case. You don't just develop SIBO out of nowhere. You don't develop SIBO for no reason. You develop SIBO because something else was afoot. You had the soil and the conditions to grow this tree. You didn't just get a tree for the heck of it. So working through this a little bit, because I know some of what's on your mind. First of all, I'm going to speak to the skeptics or the people who are frustrated right now, which is to say the people who are like, okay, great, but I don't know my root cause. And I've tried and I can't figure it out and nothing is working. And like, I'm just going to be doomed if I don't know my root cause. And I'm going to tell you that is not at all true. Partially because if you do the number 2 thing I'm going to talk about, it basically renders this one unnecessary anyway. So first of all, you don't need to do the root cause analysis necessarily, but I will say for those of you who are kind of new to this idea, having at least some understanding of what led you down this path can be very useful. So as a really easy example, if you never had any symptoms of SIBO and you didn't have SIBO until you took a PPI, there you go. Low stomach acid is pretty clearly your root cause. And now you have a targeted approach to remedy that specific root cause. So if you are on a PPI or an H2 blocker, step number 1 is that you need to get off of those things safely and with the help of your prescriber. Then you could start to think about things that boost your stomach acid, things like apple cider vinegar, mindful eating, or even betaine HCl. Then the next step is you can make sure that your body is in a good position and has the nutrients necessary to make stomach acid. So again, mindful eating, intuitive eating kind of stuff, slowing down, chewing your food, making sure you have enough protein and zinc and iron and magnesium and the nutrients in your diet to make stomach acid. So there's a lot that you could do just understanding your root in the example of low stomach acid. But here's another one, just to kind of wet our whistle here further. What if your root cause was something that was in the past and you have no control over it and you cannot go back and erase the past? And of course, I'm talking about food poisoning. right? Unless you know something I don't. None of us have time travel abilities quite yet. And we can't go back in time and slap the chicken and waffles out of your hand and tell you not to eat it. But that doesn't mean that it's a lost cause, and it doesn't mean that understanding this root is not worthwhile. So, for example, in the case of food poisoning, where it seems like that's not a super useful thing to know, well, first off, those people might need prokinetics for longer. That is actually a viable thing. Now, I don't necessarily think that it's the 5-year or more thing that Dr. Pimentel talks about, but I think that they might need prokinetics for a little bit longer than the average bear. Also, we can educate you and make sure that you prevent future food poisonings to the best of your ability. Now again, sometimes shit happens, pun intended, but maybe we educate you on how to handle meat safely and how to use a meat thermometer so that we ensure that meat is cooked to a proper internal temperature. Maybe you keep your eyes peeled on the news or on a website to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for any sort of like salmonella or E. coli issue with like the spinach or the melons or whatever crop issue they're having next, right? Like you could try to prevent further food poisonings, and you could try to nurture your MMC and take care of your motility, knowing that that was what was disrupted from this root cause. So if you want more of this isn't meant to be a root cause video. I actually have several root cause videos already, as well as a full-length podcast episode with Amy talking about this. I will link those down in the description for people who want more of a conversation on root causes. And I actually have an entire video for the people who do not know their root cause. And they're frustrated and they're bummed and they're feeling doomed and they think that they're going to have SIBO for the rest of their life because they don't know their root cause. So I have videos for that. Check them out down below after you watch this one. But let's move on to number 2. So I had already said that if you do this thing, you're not going to have to worry about this thing anyway, so don't worry about it too much, right? So what is this thing? Well, this is going to sound counterintuitive unless you followed my channel and my work for a while, but honestly, the gut that we all know and love and admittedly obsess over, you need to focus on this way less. You need a whole body approach. SIBO is not unique. None of this is unique in the sense that this does not work in isolation. We can't just take out your gut, put it on a petri dish, examine it, tinker with it, fix it, so to speak, and then put it back in your otherwise impaired body. So if hyper-focusing on the gut has gotten you nowhere, that's probably for a reason. You probably have other bigger fish to fry outside of the gut, and you need to address that. So a couple easy examples just for what it's worth. Let's picture somebody who has SIBO and they're bloated and they're constipated and they feel terrible, but they also are hypothyroid. And they've been trying to manage it naturally, but they're being kind of stubborn and they don't want to take medicine. They're really anti-medicine and their TSH is hovering in like that 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 range, and they feel like crap. There is no probiotic, prokinetic, fiber supplement on planet Earth, in my opinion, that's just going to magically get rid of your SIBO. You need to treat the hypothyroidism, even if it's temporarily for a couple of months, in order to get your gut-brain axis and your motility working to a point that you can clear your SIBO. Another example, just for fun here. If you are blatantly malnourished, you're going to have a really hard time healing anything, let alone the digestive system, which is very dependent on nutrients and fuel and nourishment. You're turning over a new crop of intestinal lining cells every 3 days. How are you going to build new cells? How are you going to run things smoothly and build new tissues if you don't have nutrients to do that? You'd be surprised how many people work with me and they've done everything else. They've done the antimicrobials, they've done prokinetics, they've done probiotics, they've done FMT, they've done all the things. And then we do a food diary and we find that they are not eating enough calories, they're not eating enough protein, they're getting basically 0 fiber, and they're not getting any vitamins or minerals. So even something really simple like getting more food or getting more protein in your system can go a really long way in healing. One more example, just bear with me here. If there is something that is keeping your nervous system unhealthy in some way, that is going to disrupt this, right? Because we talk about the gut-brain axis. Well, the brain is controlling the gut in a top-down fashion. So yes, you could impact your mental health and your brain function by working on your gut, that is true, but oftentimes it's this top-down approach that needs more work for people. And this can range from a lot of different things. So things like head trauma can be really effective here, or you could be affected by them and treating that with something like functional neurology can be effective, or even something as simple as treating anemia or iron deficiency or a B vitamin deficiency, right? You need these nutrients and you need blood flow not only for the tissues in your gut, but also your brain and your nervous system. If your blood sugar is out of whack, your vagus nerve and your gut-brain axis are not going to work correctly. So I know it feels tempting to watch all of my gut-focused videos and go down the rabbit hole of IBS and SIBO-specific things, and you probably know more names of bacteria in the microbiome than you should at this point. But please, everybody, promise me for the new year, if nothing else, try to zoom out a little bit and focus less on the gut in 2024 and beyond. And I think that that is going to be your ultimate ticket to not only overcoming SIBO and healing your gut, but also healing the rest of your body. Of course, I realize this is maybe easier said than done, right? Like I might have just made things way more complicated and daunting for you. Sorry. I just told you, oh, this one thing that you've been studying and you're just starting to get a grapple on, yeah, don't focus on that anymore. Now you need to get a medical degree, a naturopathic degree, an herbalist degree, a nutrition degree, a psychology degree. Go ahead and go get 10 different degrees so that you can understand the entirety of the human body, and then you'll be SIBO free. Look, super simple, easy peasy, see you in 30 years. And I'm being flip because that's not at all what I'm trying to convey here. I do think a lot of you need to zoom out, quite frankly. But it's not to say that you have to understand every little nitty-gritty thing about the human body. I think a lot of you just need some sort of a roadmap or a blueprint or maybe like a user's manual. If you think about it, it's really weird. We get to this planet and we have no idea what we're doing. None. We are not given our user's manual. We're not given a pamphlet. We have to gather information about how to pilot this ship from a bunch of different sources, some of which are reliable and some are not, right? So like our parents teach us a little bit about how to keep our body healthy, our friends and family, our teachers, the school nurse, the doctor, the dentist, the whoever. And it's like this weird hodgepodge of information, but we don't really have an A to Z, here's how you do the human thing manual. And in a really weird way, I hope that you get what I mean by this, but I kind of feel like that's what FODMAP Freedom has become for me. Like, yeah, it's a gut healing class, don't get me wrong. Like, we're going to help you heal your gut. And if we don't, you're going to get your money back. But it's also, in some weird way, the A to Z guide of how to keep your body healthy and how to have a whole body approach to your wellness. So in FODMAP Freedom, for all of it's a gut-focused program, we do talk about hormones and detoxification and nutrition and, yes, the microbiome, but also the nervous system and the vagus nerve and blood sugar and anemia and nutrient deficiencies and mindset. We cover a lot of different bases in FODMAP Freedom with the hope that the end result is gut health. But to be quite honest, I've had people have great results in FODMAP Freedom with other conditions too. We had a student last time, she was always exhausted. She was taking a nap almost every afternoon, just collapsing from exhaustion. And by the end of the 12 weeks in FODMAP Freedom, that symptom was significantly better to a point where she was able to start exercising again. And we had other similar stories. It's just the coolest thing. So my point, for those of you still watching this long-winded shtick, is come join us at FODMAP Freedom. We're actually enrolling right now for the folks on the wait list. If you're thinking, oh crap, I'm not on the wait list, what do I do? Join the wait list right now anyway, and you're still going to get tomorrow's email with the URL you need to go check it out. So you still have a little bit of a leg up on everybody else. And then next week, I'll post the general link for the rest of YouTube and the rest of Instagram to kind of check out. But come check out FODMAP Freedom. I really think that that's going to be the ticket to helping you develop a full body approach and ultimately be SIBO free for the rest of your life. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, click the like button, and leave a comment down below with the videos that you would like to see me do next. Doing all of those really helps support the channel and support my efforts in making as many videos as possible for you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.